Okay, without further ado, it is time to look at our penultimate entry, and anybody that's new to this channel might not have seen this one coming. Hello, I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to places. Anybody that watches this channel, or has done for a while now, will know that I'm particularly interested in American places, and even more particularly in American states, and that, at this time of year, always brings out in me this desire to find out which states watched me the most throughout the year. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's not fair, Lawrence, some states have more people than others. Well, I've taken that into account, just as I did last year. We're going to do this factoring in the state's population and adjust mathematically in accordance with that. In other words, we're not going to just look at hard numbers, we're going to look at which state gave me the highest concentration of views in the entire nation. And that sort of levels the playing field a bit, right? So any state can make the top 10. It doesn't have to be California. It doesn't have to be Texas. Texas did make it last year. It was in the top 10. But that's just because it had a higher per capita amount of people watching me. In fact, it was joined, just to look at last year's list, with Colorado, Missouri, Ohio, Oregon, Minnesota, Michigan, Utah, Illinois, and at number 1, Washington State. The question is, has it changed much in 2019? Have those states maintained a stranglehold on my channel? That sounds terrifying. Or have new ones come from nowhere? Well, I can actually answer that question for you right this very second, because the top 2 entries on this list came from nowhere to make it to the top of the charts, but we'll get to that in just a moment. First, let's start out with our 10th position and last year's 4th. Yes, that's right. Michigan makes it into the top 10 once again. Now, like I said, it has fallen down from 4th place, but I'll still take that. I mean, I'm glad that you Michiganders are still there. Of course, Great Lakes region, like myself, so I can see that that plays into it. Other than that, though, I can't think content-wise what brought you here, unless it was just there's a lot of you, firstly. But again, this is per capita, so it doesn't matter that there are a lot of you. I did do a video back in the day about my visit to Ann Arbor, so I don't know if that pulled people in. Nobody watched that video, so I doubt it. I can only think that it's because people in Michigan have really good taste in YouTube. That is the only explanation I have for this. So well done for making the top 10. But you know, our next entry might actually provide some sort of explanation as to why Michigan is there, because it's also in the Midwest. And it also made it into last year's list, albeit in a higher position once more. Last year, Ohio, you were in 7th place. Now, I think I have a better understanding of why Ohio is in here. Historically on my channel, I have visited Ohio. I went to Jungle Jim's International store a few years ago, made a video all about that. Of course, I lived predominantly at the start of my YouTube channel in the state of Indiana, which is neighboring to Ohio. And I can see that that probably helped to pull in quite a few followers. And You've stayed, albeit you've fallen. Like I said, the top 2 on this list have usurped everybody else, so that explains part of that. But I am very glad to see that you are still with me. I love the state of Ohio, can't wait to get back. Need to see more of it. I've only seen the western portion of it. Need to get into the center of the state and, of course, to the very east of it. Okay, on to the next entry, which is still technically in the Midwest. Not even technically, it is. Let's do it. And once again, it's another entry that was on our list last year. So we are 3-0 for repeat ponies. Is that a term? It is now. Minnesota, you have made it back onto the list once again. A little lower than last year. Last year you were in 5th place. You are still in the respectable position of 8th. Wonder if it's because of the close proximity to Chicago. I haven't really done much content around the state of Minnesota. But Minnesota, what have I done that's so magnetic to you? That not my words. I read that one in the comments before. People use some very strange terms about me. But I do live in Chicago, and I've done videos, I think, about sort of the Midwest winter in general. Minnesota, of course, has even harder and harsher winters, I suppose, than Illinois. So maybe you were just laughing at me and you feel sympathy for my naivety in general. I don't know. I'm glad you're here. Like everybody on this list. I just don't know why you are. Okay, we're going to leave the Midwest there and we're going to go out west to a state that also made the list last year. I promise not all of these made the list last year, just the first few, and then we'll see. Let's do it. Oh, Oregon is such a strange one. You keep making these lists and I don't know why. Again, very happy to have you here. I just don't know what sort of relationship my videos have had, particularly to the state of Oregon. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I want my videos to conquer America eventually. But, you know, why Oregon out of all of these should be 7th place is somewhat of a mystery. I do love the thought of the Pacific Northwest, and I think I've professed my undying love for a place I've never been to many times on this channel, so I wonder if that pandering has helped. Let me know in the comments below though what your reasoning is for liking my channel. Maybe it's just one big family in Oregon just gets on every day and checks me out. Not like that, just likes the channel. Well, this is a little embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, Illinois, the state that I live in and have done now for 3 years, has actually dropped down from number 2 last year all the way to number 6. But that's still fine because that means 44 other states have a lower concentration of views to my channel than you do. So again, thank you, Illinois. I'm very happy to live here. In a way, it's almost like I live in a different state because I live in Chicago, but I love the rest of the state. Been through it many times, cut through Springfield on a train. I do desperately want to see more of the state. It just hasn't happened for various reasons. I've been too busy, I think, with the channel. Fantastic. And again, it speaks to that sort of Midwest quality, I think. It's always going to happen. I'm talking about the Midwest quite a lot on this channel. I also live here, and so if I could drill down even more into the analytics, I'm sure I'd find that most of you are from Chicago, but maybe not. Maybe not. If you are from Illinois, let me know in the comments below whereabouts you are. And in fact, same to any of you. I mean, this isn't just specific to Illinois. You know, any of the states, whether you made the top 10 or not, I'm so thankful that you do watch me because my stats do point out that at least somebody in every state watches me, which is a bit weird. All right, so the tension is now mounting. We are about to drill down to our top 5, and number 5 on this list is a new entry. Well, Maryland, you are without doubt one of the success stories of my channel in 2019. Not only were you placed 31 last year, but you've risen all the way up to number 5. And there's a good reason for that. I'm not surprised in the least. Firstly, I visited you for the first time this year. And secondly, and I think more importantly, I did a video called Where the Heck is Maryland? That wasn't because I had geographical confusion. It was one of those kinds of videos I did over the last year in which I debate which region it belongs to, because it's not always entirely clear. And in fact, people in Maryland even dispute it themselves, did so in the poll that I put out and the subsequent video. And I just find that all fascinating. And so look forward in 2020 to more of those kind of videos regarding other states. But Maryland was I think the third and most recent one of those types of videos to make it, and I do understand just from drilling down even further into my analytics, that is the reason that Maryland is so high on this list. And speaking of states about which I made videos, bring on number 4. Ooh, how is that for consistency? Utah, you last year were number 3, and you've only dipped down to the very respectable position of number 4 this year. And the very clear reason for me that you are so high up both this year and last year is my connection to the state, not only in terms of the videos that I've made, but a familial connection. Anybody that's watched my videos over the last 2 years might have seen my visit to Salt Lake City, but also the fact that I have ancestors that migrated to Utah in the 1800s. We've even got the Ellis Island stamp and everything. It's crazy. But this seemed to have formed a connection between myself and Utah. I do remember when I put out a video about that very ancestor trying to track down descendants, you know, there was a lot of feedback and a lot of people getting in touch by email, by phone, not by phone, just by email. And it was fantastic. And I'm so glad that you're here because you, of course, not only have one of the highest concentration of Lost in the Pond viewership in the nation, you have the highest concentration of English ancestry in the nation. So you and I, we're like that. So thank you once again for making the top 4. And the very same sentiment goes to our next entry. Much like Oregon, I can't quite pinpoint why Washington State is so high on this list and last year's list. I don't feel cool enough. You, of course, last year made it to number 1. This year, number 3. Nothing to be ashamed about. Don't go home crying All right, are you still there? You know, eat some of your lovely apples and be happy. It could be something to do with the fact that I visited Washington State now. I mean, both times it was Spokane, and on both occasions I was driving through en route to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So it doesn't count terribly, and I haven't done any videos about that. So I don't know where you're coming from. Again, maybe it's that sort of weather, and it's that kinship we have over the weather. I will get back to Washington State and see more of you, and you'll be able to see me in the flesh. Not in the flesh. Don't get any horrible ideas about that. We'll have a meetup there or somewhere eventually. Okay, without further ado, it is time to look at our penultimate entry, and anybody that's new to this channel might not have seen this one coming. But anybody that's old to this channel, like me, I'm the oldest person to this channel because I started it, will know that I have quite a connection to the state of West Virginia. Not only have I visited it on multiple occasions now, but my wife has family members there too. So I get the sense actually that some of my videos, specifically the ones about West Virginia, were shared by those family members to just the rest of West Virginia. That said, West Virginia last year didn't even touch the top 10. In fact, it was at number 28, making this the biggest climb of any of the states on this list. And one of the reasons for that climb is, I think this year I did a video all about 5 things I absolutely love about Charleston, West Virginia. And that seemed to do really well. And it was at a time when the channel was starting to move and gain big numbers. So it went along for the ride. It also coincidentally had more shares, this video, than any other video that I put out this year. So I get the sense that somebody in West Virginia, I don't know who, shared my video and said, oh, look what this British person is saying about our state. And well might you do that, because you have a very beautiful state of Appalachian grandliness. I made that phrase up. It's copyrighted, so don't use it unless you live in West Virginia, and you will get my permission to do that if that's the case. So thank you, West Virginia, for watching me per capita more than any other state but one. Oklahoma! Who saw that? Not the musical. I mean, you might have done. Oklahoma, number 1, having been just number 20 last year. But there's a very, very good reason that you made it to the pinnacle of states that watch me the most. And that is because I put out a video this year asking, where the heck is Oklahoma? Now, just as with the Maryland video, this isn't confusion on my part about where Oklahoma is on a map. I know where it is on a map. It's just which region does it belong to? And I answer that very question, or at least attempt to, in this video. Now, because it made it to number 1, of course, I will link to that video in my end slides at the end of this video for anybody that's interested in that very vid. Oklahoma, a big round of applause to you. And if you live in the state of Oklahoma, please give yourself a thumbs up in the comments. That would be very weird, but do it anyway. And same to all of you. Every state that watched me this year, that's all 50, are very much appreciated. And that even includes the bottom 5. Should I read off the bottom 5? I think that would be cruel, wouldn't it? All right, I'll do it. Okay, so at number 46, we have South Dakota. Come on, South Dakota. I've name-checked you in videos before. I mean, I've name-checked all of the states, so there's no excuse for any of you, really. But you have internet in South Dakota, don't you? Don't answer that. And I've just realised if you don't have internet, then you can't really answer it. Number 47 on this list, that's Hawaii. Hawaii! I mentioned you big time in a video about the weather, how it rains there more than any other state in the Union. Maybe that's why you don't watch anymore. I pointed out your flaws. Actually, also on that list was number 48, Mississippi. Maybe you're all holding a grudge, aren't you? That's what's happening here. Vermont. You made it into my list of, you know, top 5 states with the highest concentration of English ancestry, along with Utah. And yet you're so far behind them. Come on, Vermont. You can do this. You can do it for me. I love Ben and Jerry's. And finally, bottom of the pile. Do I name and shame? Do I name and shame you, Delaware? I just did. Actually, though, Delaware, I do have plans for you, so expect to be higher up in the list next year. That's it for this video. That's it for this year. Now, if your state made the top 10, let me know about it in the comments below, or just say hi from whichever state you're from, or whichever country. It doesn't have to be America. And if you've not had a chance to do so, please hit that subscribe button so that my videos don't get lost in the pond. And a big, big shout out to all of my patrons, no matter which state you live in, for the support that you've given me over the last year and multiple years. It's really, really helped this channel grow, and we appreciate it every single day. If you would like to become a patron of this channel, you can do so at patreon.com/lostinthepond. Anybody that does so will get access to my secret live stream. That's different from my public Friday night live stream. The next one is going to take place in January. Additionally, if you pledge $5 or more a month, you will get access to not only that, but my secret podcast and more. Until next year, until the next video, have a good one, and have a fantastic new year. Thank you for watching this episode of Lost in the Pond. Don't forget to hit my stupid little face to subscribe, and please share this video with the world. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and if you would like to support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/lostinthepond.